stare through my window. I turn around to sleep some more. 12 o'clock and you're making breakfast, eating bed, share this morning's paper. You know that it changes me and you hope it stays. The summer's on its way.
Okay, so what I'm curious about is, you know, how did you come about the idea of the store? What is the concept of the store?
Okay, so Room 2046 is essentially a multidisciplinary lifestyle brand comprising of a concept shop, a cafe, and a studio. And you know, as you can see, the shop offers all kinds of products. There's an emphasis on design and quality craftsmanship, and this kind of store is not uncommon in, say, you know, the cities that I travel to, like say in Europe or in Asia. And I kind of noticed that there's a void in the market here in Toronto, and I kind of wanted to bring that neighborhood sensibility to and amalgamate the cafe feel with the retail shop in a very kind of, you know, like a relatively new neighborhood that's not too saturated with kind of the trendy shops. So that's kind of how it came about. And yeah, and then just to create a space and a type of atmosphere that fosters creativity.
And I see you have a coffee section here in the store as well.
Yeah.
And what's the idea behind that?
So again, like I said, like bringing in the coffee cafe sensibility into the shop is just not really explored here. I mean, I like the idea of having that kind of old school organic connection that you establish with customers. And I just remember from the times that I was traveling, say in like South America or Europe, and the most memorable stores are the ones where, you know, you could just hang out in a store and like chill and hang out with like the staff or the owners, and you know, you don't necessarily have to talk about the products that are in the shop and in the space itself. You can just talk about anything really, and that's like, I thought that was kind of cool, you know what I mean? And you're really you just kind of develop this sense of community rather than selling somebody right away. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just more of a hangout place.
Combining like a hanging out space and like for them to, you know, while they're hanging out, they can look at your products too, right?
Yeah,
It's really brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from the business perspective, but for me, like, you know, I'm more interested in the kind of profound level, because, you know, the retail world is getting quite competitive, especially with the proliferation of all these online retailers, these web shops, right? Like, you know, but the downside is that with all the social media and this, you know, the online chats, is that you lose that kind of face-to-face interaction, and that's something that you can't really replace through online experience. So I kind of wanted to bring that back. And I mean, not to say that we don't have an online shop, but we still do, you know, and I mean, we certainly value customer service, but this is kind of a different kind of experience where, again, like, even with our coffee, there's kind of that artisanal quality premium coffee that we offer to the people. So
that's excellent. I'd like to try some.
Yeah.
And following on, it's just like, what inspired you to be an entrepreneur in the first place? Is it something that you wanted to, you know, to go into while you were young? Is it because it's your own personal feeling that you want to do something for yourself rather than for someone else?
Yeah, so I mean, entrepreneurship is something that that was kind of ingrained in my kind of in my culture and in my family. I suppose, you know, I come from a family of entrepreneurs, and you know, I knew that I wanted to do my own thing, but I also knew that I had to acquire the right amount of experience and skill set in order to have a venture and start doing my own thing, and to, again, like, just have the confidence, right, to start, really, because I mean, it's it's a challenging, probably one of the biggest decisions that you'll ever make. And yeah, I mean, again, it wasn't really a matter of one day I woke up, you know, I had this like moment of epiphany, like I'm going to start this shop, but it just kind of happened gradually, and it was kind of.
So, yeah, we spoke a little bit about the risks of you know, becoming an entrepreneur, right? So, what other challenges have you faced since you started up?
Okay, so the challenges that I faced. The challenges are, you know, again, quite different every day. You know, there isn't a day where I'm not faced with a new challenge, and that's certainly something that I've come to terms with and accept as an entrepreneur. And I think, you know, if you're not being challenged, then you're not really making any progress in business. I'm a firm believer of that. And I suppose one of kind of the biggest challenges is just maintaining a certain level of stamina and endurance when you're running a business, because one of the things that I underestimated when I began the business was the extent of, you know, mental strength and physical endurance and patience that entrepreneurship generally demands. And I kind of learned it the hard way, certainly. And, you know, and trying to do everything, trying to kind of tackle everything on my own, that's a challenge too. And with that, you know, your kind of time management, that can also become a challenge, which in turn affects your personal life and whatnot. So it's a matter of striking the well-balanced life, right? Because you have to, in the end, ultimately take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. And I'm guessing, like, you didn't go directly into this. Like, it's not like a shock. Has there any past experiences that you've dealt with that are similar to what you're doing now that actually helped you to, you know, to
build resilience?
Exactly.
You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I kind of perceive myself to be relatively resilient, just because I like to place myself out of my comfort zone a lot of the times, whether it be like academically when I was in school, or, do you know what I mean, or even after school. I usually like to just stay away from my comfort zone, right, and just constantly push myself and challenge myself. So in a sense, I've kind of developed that part of me. And it's not that I seek challenges intentionally or anything, but it's just things that I like to do tend to be quite challenging, right? And I don't see it as a challenge, more like an opportunity.
Could you give me maybe an example of what you did, like maybe your past jobs that actually helped you to be resilient, like you said?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, just the things that I would do, like say when I was, you know, in high school, just starting from high school or in middle school, you know, I would take like AP courses, or in university I would partook in like all these different activities on top of like having, you know,
extracurricular.
Exactly. Yeah. Or, you know, after graduation, you know, I would go to London, say for instance, with no job and no place to live, and then manage to find myself a job within like 2 weeks, you know, that kind of thing, just because I like to place myself out of my comfort zone, you know what I mean? Because naturally, like, people would just stay in their own bubble, right? So, but I don't know, I like to kind of just see where I can take things. So,
yeah, that's great.
Where I could go.
And something specific to Canada. Mm-hmm. So what advice, you know, from your experiences starting up and where you are now, would you give to the people here in Canada, you know, in terms of starting their own business or becoming an entrepreneur themselves? Mm-hmm. What sort of advice would you give them?
I think it comes down to just your own willingness, essentially. Like, I don't think it's necessarily, it should be like Canada-centric or geocentric, right? It is, however, easier to start a business in Canada than in many other countries, right? I mean, that's actually a fact. Like, I believe like The Economist did a little, they like to do an annual report or study to determine and assess which countries in the world are among the easiest places to start a business, and Canada's definitely in the top 10, if not top 5. Having said that though, I can say that it's not easy. You know, it's one thing to start a business, but it's another thing to run and operate a successful business. And you know, the statistics is something quite staggering, like, you know, 3 or 4 out of 5 startups fail in the end, right? And again, it depends on the industry. Do you know what I mean? There's so many factors that come into play. However, with Canada, like, you know, you have these laws that are enforced. There's a kind of a level of fairness, the proximity to America and Europe, that can be an advantage. People are generally open-minded here. However, you are, because you're so close to America, you know, there's always that challenge, like that growing competition coming from the US, for instance, and kind of the currency as well, the value of the currency, that has an effect if you're, say, importing products. So, but in general, like, you know, it is a relatively kind of, especially Toronto, it's a relatively new city, but there are so many opportunities that you can kind of create for yourself because it is that new. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You can definitely just kind of
so there's a
get
good
started.
Market here for sure. And
yeah. Again, you know, it depends on what you're doing, right? But that kind of comes with, you know, your research and what who you really want to sell to, right? So, but yeah, I mean, again, the population isn't as big as, say, like in Indonesia, whereas you know, it's a faster pace.
Absolutely.
So.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much for your time. And
thank you for the opportunity.
Okay.
So,
nice
to meet you too. Hi, it's Kumala from Room 2046. I'm sorry that I can't make it today, but wishing all of you the best of luck and to follow your passion. So when you have the chance, read the article, or if you have any questions or if you need any advice, you know, feel free to come to the shop. It's Yonge and Summerhill. Alternatively, you can shoot me an email or just visit the website, have a browse, check out the films and the things that we do. And you can find it on room2046.com. Ciao!